Greetings, everybody. Nina the Mystic Truther here, and welcome to another Let's Talk variety show here with my co-host Robert. How are you doing tonight, Robert?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to talking about a little bit about time travel.
Yes, so we are expecting Aage and Nost here tonight. It seems like there's some technical difficulties with the link. I might try a little something here while we're waiting here. But I see there's some new faces in the chat here today. So I'm good to see Joanne is in here. Bernicia is in here. I haven't seen you for a long time. Sunset Dreamer,
JoJo's here.
welcome. Yay. Star Ruby's in the house. And yeah, welcome everybody. Come on in, get comfortable. We are going to be talking about time travel, but I guess before we get going, we can always do a little housekeeping here. I have something new and exciting today. I just got a new Facebook page up. Yay! We almost need I'm going to wait for this. Yay! I've been talking about this for a while. I've just been
Go over there and subscribe.
Doing it. Yeah, dreading doing it, but I did it. I have a. I got several emails, so I went and got a whole new account now with a different email. That's not going to get shadow banned. My other account is completely, more or less frozen. I got over 2,000 people who have been following me there, and yet 0 people sees my posts. So we're going to start all over again. However, I've got to just give you guys a little bit of a warning, I guess, on it. This Facebook page is basically going to be used for Hump Day Message and the tarot reading. And so all the posts and whatever that's going to be posted up on there will be mystic related. Okay, so it won't be any truth seeker at all. Matter of fact, it's kind of funny now that I was sitting in there and going, reading through everything and the things that they don't want you to talk about, and the misinformation on the medicine part, that is what they're worried about. And Robert knows all about this. He just got a strike on the other channel when we went live over there a week ago. So if you were looking for that video, you got taken down. So plus a strike. So I'm sure glad I didn't go live on this channel. So that's the thing. We can't, there's just so many things we can't talk about. And we're going to try to kind of, talking code, whatever, over here on the YouTube. I'm not too worried about the YouTube. I have a feeling that this YouTube, there's a whole way of doing YouTube. And if you don't follow it, your channel is not going to grow. It's just the way it is. And because it doesn't matter how good a content you have, it all goes with algorithms. And I'm starting to learn this now from other YouTubers that, if you have a video and it doesn't look good, you have to take it down. You can't let that sit up there because it's going to hurt the algos and all this kind of stuff. Like there's quite a bit to it in order to grow on Facebook. And this is why, your channel, a lot of our friends' channels just aren't growing, is because we didn't follow the proper YouTube algo way of doing it. So, so I don't have any hopes really for the YouTube channel. This is basically going to be a place where I can merge both my sides. I got the mystic and the truther. However, it will be a lot in code and there'll be a lot of things we can't talk about. But anyway, so try it. Now that I'm starting all over again over on Facebook, I don't want to mess up the algos over there. So this Facebook will be just for the Hump Day and for the mystic side. Okay, so those kind of posts. So if you get triggered by that, you're not into the mystic side at all, the tarot doesn't appeal to you, then don't worry about the Facebook. However, I am desperately looking for more followers and friends to follow, whatever. However you want to, I think there's 2 different options there that you can do, because I started the page as a regular, friend page, and then I switched it over to the professional thing. So that, yeah. So anyways, do whatever you can over there. The more, the better. So share it out if you don't mind. I do have it pinned in the chat right now. Or if you're watching the replay, then it will be down in the description. Just scroll down a little bit, because I got all Aage stuff in there first, of course. And then I got the Facebook page. And then I got Robert's stuff, and all my stuff is down there. So go and check that out. Yeah, definitely go and follow me over there if you're interested in the Hump Day. Then with the Hump Days actually returning here on YouTube, because we're leaving Patreon here in just a couple weeks. And what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to switch it up a bit. I'm going to do the live show like I normally do, except I'm not going to be worried about time. Matter of fact, the longer the better. And then what I'm going to do though is take the show down right away after, because the live, all of that readings, all the the replay, it's not for the replay. You know what I mean? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out the hump day and post it up as a short. And I think that is probably going to work better for the algos and everything. So either because some people really love being there live, other people rather just have the short. It's kind of like how Redacted does it. I kind of like that idea, how they do it there. I don't know if you've ever watched one of their news things, Robert. No.
No, Redacted.
No. Redacted. It's like a news channel. So they come on live and then they'll have their stories. And then they'll do, go over super chats and they'll have their commercials and everything. But then they'll actually take the news story itself as a 10, 15-minute thing and then post that up separately as a little short. And I prefer that, to be honest with you. That way the people who love the live can be there live. It's a 2-hour thing. Or you can just catch up on the actual message, essentially, on a separate, smaller video without all the commercials and without all the stuff. So that's kind of how I go forward. Yeah.
There's quite a few people who are doing that, snippets. I mean, I do some of that stuff myself where you pick out the best part that people, like when I do the Native American Myths and Legends show, everybody likes David's story. So Hawkeye gets his own little short for a minute or two of, telling his story. They're usually about 5 or 10 minute stories. Sometimes a little longer than that, but for the most part, that's what a lot of people tune in for. They turn into us jibber jabbering about the world, or what's going on in the backyard, or something like that, or how the chickens are doing. But sometimes you just got to cut out all the fluff and get right down to the point.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's two different audiences. One audience loves the live, the interactive in the chat, and they don't care. They got all day. They love hanging out. Other people don't have the time for that and just want to get down to that. Yeah, and that's what I prefer usually with Redacted, unless I do have the time and I want to hang out. Sometimes I'll have that on while I'm exercising. That kind of thing. I don't mind having a live show while that's happening. Okay, so Augie's having problem. He said he's going in, but it's just black. And I remember that these are problems that he's had before, and I think other people as well. He says he's using Chrome because I know that's the thing. So sometimes when you're a guest on these things, it's best to come on like 15 minutes early to troubleshoot, to make sure, even though you've been here before, it may have been a while and you just don't remember how
I think Augie uses Zoom a lot. And then when he, but these shows are easy because you just click the link like StreamYard and this one. You just hit it and it's there. You don't have to do much preparation. So
not really. The only thing I found with some people, you gotta make sure you are using Chrome. I guess it works better with the Chrome and the Google, or no, it's the Chrome part of it. Because I know if you use different browsers, it might not work as well. I know I've had that issue before. But I find if you go back, you know what? I'm going to do a voice thing. I can't sit here and type.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk. I'll just go while you're doing that. I'll talk a little bit about time travel while you're doing that. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about time travel, everyone. And if you haven't heard the stories, there's lots of stuff about time travel. And believe it or not, no one has ever, that we know, has successfully traveled through time that with their body. Now, there's a lot of people who've claimed that. One of the famous guys that have claimed to travel through time is John Titor. You might have heard him. He traveled back in time to, get a computer from 1974 or 75. He needed an IBM computer to save the day in like 2043 or some crazy time like that. So he traveled back in time like a luxury thing and went to see some relatives and pick up a computer. And while he was at it, he got online and told everybody he was from the future and he was here. And then he gave a bunch of predictions, which really none of them came to fruition really well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean they did. Some of them have, but he predicted them. Then he said at the end of his little vlog, he says, "Hey, now when you jump timelines, I might have jumped into a different timeline, and it might not be the same as mine. So some of these events that I've predicted may not really actually happen." So he covered his ass, put it that way. There are people who actually have time traveled in reality. Okay. It was a Russian cosmonaut, Sergei Krasnov. I think that's how you say it. I'm going to butcher that Russian name. A Russian cosmonaut who spent 803 days in orbit around the Earth, and due to time dilation caused by this orbital motion around, it calculated that he was 0.02 seconds younger than other people born at the same time as him on Earth. Now that's one way to time travel.
1 second though, or whatever. That's
yeah.
I don't know.
You'd have to spend a lot of days in space, put it that way, to turn back the clock. And but now I did a little bit of review of people and time travel. And I think when people think they time travel, they want to take this physical body that we have and travel through time with it. And then like the time machine guy, where he finds the Eloys and the whatever they are, the Malaks or whatever. And he brings a book and he saves a society and starts Earth all over again. I don't think that's the way you're going to time travel. But theory says that, and we know that people have actually time traveled without the physical body. And I'll tell you some of them. And one of them is Vagabanga. Remember the blind prophet lady who, I think it's Vagabanga. Anyway, and she's seen a lot of Yes, she's seen a lot of things in the future. I think she was time traveling. And there's Aage Nost. Thank you for coming.
Aage, you made it! Yay!
Finally, I made it. I'm just sitting here on the beach in Arizona, here up in the desert, and it's wonderful. This is a new platform. I had no idea what Talk Studio is.
Yeah, you've been on there before, but it's been a while. It's probably been a couple of years now, whatever it's been. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of slow. I don't get out much, so I had to figure my.
Hey, but you made it, and the background looks good. So there you go. Welcome.
Oh gosh. This is all right. Only 21 minutes late.
That's okay. That gives us time to ramble.
We're sitting on the edge of our seats, figuring out, wanting to know about the time machine.
Yeah, don't fall down. Oh man. I hope you guys had something interesting to talk about because I couldn't hear a thing.
Oh, that's all right. We were talking about time travel. I did a whole bunch of study on time travel, and I finally get to regurgitate that information today.
Yeah, it is totally misunderstood because of all the lies that we have been fed.
Yeah.
And I have read in probably 6 or 7 different scientific papers saying that, we can make a time travel device. We can make a time travel machine. And we can even travel by consciousness to the past. And if we have thought of something in the future, we can go there and have a look at it, what it would look like. Mm-hmm. But Joe Blow and Harry Hohandle down the street, they always believe government. So Of course, it doesn't exist, you know.
Hmm.
But
So you don't think time travel is possible?
I don't think time travel is a possibility. I know.
Oh, there you go. No.
There's a huge difference between thinking and knowing something. And the thing about it is that there's a lot of evidence out there that time travel is real. But,
Yes. Yes.
you know, here we go again, you know, government tell you, nah, no.
Well,
Of course, yeah. The best example that I can possibly think on is at broadcastteamalpha.com. Go into the picture gallery. Go if you want to spend some time there, make sure you have a week to do it, because I got 117 pages worth of pictures of things that should not exist, but it does. On page number 15, and I think it is picture number 9 and 10, I have two pictures next to each other that I took during a time travel trip. And I also, at the same time, I did time slippage, because those pictures are taken at the same time in two different realities. One of them has a certain amount of information on. There's a picture of a road, and the trees have leaves on them. And there's been rain on the road, so you can see the road is wet. The other picture has no rain, and there are no leaves on the trees, but they're taken at the same time. Actually, that's not totally true. They're about 1 minute and 5 seconds apart, because I took, maybe this needs some qualification. I was sitting at my computer watching a video from a video feed from a newspaper back in Europe, and I took a screenshot of it. And then later, much later, I thought maybe I could do something with this. So I sat down, and there's a mind exercise that you can read about in one of my books about spiritual science, and I know you know about that one. I did that mind exercise, and I ended up in a bubble. And I tried to there you go, there's the book. So I tried to bring myself back to the exact same time as the first picture was taken. And I took a screenshot. Now the time is about the same, but the conditions in the picture is totally different. Now there's only one wild card in here that Joblo and Harry Hohandel is going to say, yeah, sure, you know, you put a different timestamp on it. But anybody that knows me, that know that my abilities on the computer rank right up there with the village idiot. There is no chance of me having been able to do that. And these two pictures, you can see them on page 15 in the middle of the page. And this is something.
What page are you talking about? Is this on your website?
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull it up.
Pull it up. Go to Broadcast Team Alpha.
Yeah, I'm on there.
Page 15 in the picture gallery.
Yeah.
On the gallery, okay. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of.
What picture am I looking for?
In the middle of the page, I think is picture number 10 and 11. They're kind of greenish in color in the middle of the page.
Oh man, it won't. I have to go through each page. There's a lot of pages, 150.
Oh yeah, you
I
Well,
got
they're,
can't
it.
go
they're
to
numbered.
just that one.
I'm on page 15 in the gallery.
Yeah,
Okay, well maybe you can share it then.
Yeah,
I
but
can put it up.
I'm trying to find out what I'm looking for. I'm seeing
yeah,
a roadway. I'm seeing a car with a bears
yeah.
and
That's the
spacecraft.
one.
That's the one, I
The
guess.
roadway.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
So you see,
Okay, I got it.
the trees are different because I remember this from when we actually, for those who are new, we did a whole series on Augie's book here, Spiritual
Hmm.
Science.
Yeah.
Okay, you can find that. Unfortunately, my other channel got taken down. However, you can find all of those episodes up on Odyssey. So go check out my Odyssey. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
and so
And
okay. So what do we got here?
there is one of the picture in the upper middle. You can see that,
Yeah,
and
up here.
there's some text there. There's small to read here, but I would suggest that you could have a lot of fun going there. And for the listeners out there, read the text to both pictures. You will understand what I did. In fact, in the book about spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness, I talk about how you can do it. There is, I know this sounds goofy, it's simple, but it's not easy. You got to be able to manage your mind in a way that you can be focused, and then you interject this mind or should I say the mind exercise onto it, and it takes a little bit of practice, but for those that usually try things 5 times and then say that that didn't work, you may not get anything. You may have to try it 10, 15, 20, 30 times, because that's what happened to me when I started messing with this almost 30 years ago. I have a time travel device here, which if you want me to, I can show you what it looked like.
Yeah, I
Like,
would love that. Well,
yeah, and I the electronic device itself, I could not get anything done with it. I must have
Mhm.
tried it 30 times, 30, maybe 50. No, I don't think so, but maybe 20, 30 times. And then I started manipulating my brainwave pattern. I went into a meditation, and I have trained my mind to do a lot of goofy things. So it was simple for me to bring the brainwave pattern down to below 7 cycles per second. And
Mhm.
then I focused and I started doing it there. That's when I started to see things.
Mhm.
And this, according to quantum mechanics, is probably one of the things that you're going to be able to do by yourself. And I don't really know if I actually went somewhere physically or if it was a mental projection. Because I never had, there were times when I had other people there and nothing happened. I was always by
now
myself.
what's the difference between time travel and then remote viewing? Because one would say, well, we remote view,
Uh,
places.
the
So,
remote viewing is more like you get images, you get information and images from a distant location that you are concentrating on, or just images that is attached to a number that you are
Mhm.
looking at.
Mhm.
So that is now the only one that I know of. Otherwise, than what I'm doing here is Tom Dongo up in by Sedona. He says that when he does remote viewing, he actually goes to the place and have a look, and
Mhm.
then he come back and he make drawings and stuff. So the only difference between me and him, I think, I do that too, but I was able to take a picture
Mhm.
because I was on the computer. So, because when these scientific papers and theoretical physicists, very recognized, highly capable theoretical physicists says, yeah, we know the equations on the blackboard show this is possible. And there are more than one reality. So there are some times that you can go somewhere, you can see things, and you can concentrate on things, but also look at the background. Because the universe may not have cleaned up the picture for you altogether. There may be things that is very interesting in the background of what you see. Since I came to Tucson, the first time I had an experience like this was I was sitting at home and I did this, and I suddenly found myself on the street in Tucson, walking down the street, and it was an incredible experience. So I was kind of up about it, and when I walked up towards people, I noticed I made eye contact with them. So it appeared to me as they could see me. And then I walked up to a newspaper stand, and didn't have any money with me, so I couldn't buy the paper, but I could see headlines. This was during the time that I was on the ballot running for Congress, and I was looking for things that maybe could affect the elections. And there were two headlines that I noticed, and one of them was an accident in town, and the other one, I forget what that was. I saw it, and I remembered it when I came back. I remember one of those things actually, yes, that happened a few days later. So this is, I know it sounds ridiculous to the nuts and bolt people out there, but this is something that got to be considered. There is another example. And I talked about this also with BBC television when they came to the US to do a TV documentary with myself and Michio Kaku and Green and another guy. And that goes to there's a guy in New York. His name was Andrew Carlsen. And in 2003, he was arrested for insiders trading. Well, that happens once in a while. And, he was a little too successful for them. They were suspicious. He took $800. And in a matter of a few weeks, he had multiplied that into $350 million on the stock market. Now, the regulators, they start looking at that and say, wait, that can't happen. Because he took 126 high-risk trades, and he never lost a single dollar on any of them. They all made money for him. And that, in fact, you can go and also read about this, the Weekly World News that was written up on March 19 in 2003. He was arrested by the Securities and Exchange Commission. They put him in jail. The next day he came before the judge, and the judge asked him, how did you do this? Who did you do it with? Where did you get the information? And he said, he says, I'm a time traveler. And he said that he came from the year 2256. He said, I read the records. I knew who was going to make money. And I went back and I started playing the game. He says, I got too involved with it. There was kind of like a high for me, he said. So I just got too involved. It got out of hand. And I'm really sorry about this if I screwed anything up for you guys. So just keep the money, he says. Money, we don't use much of that anyway back in 2256. So just keep it. And the judge, he laughed at him. He said, "Yeah, sure. We're gonna keep you in jail until you tell us who gave you the information." Well, he set I think it was about 1.2 or $1 million bail on him.
Yeah, this is a real thing. I got the article pulled up, Nina, if you want to post it up. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
that could be. Yeah, that's it. That's him. And they put him in jail. And I think it was a day or two later, a guy came with a suitcase full of money. And he went to the court, he paid the bail, and they both left, and nobody ever saw them again. Now, there we go again, that you remember Joe Blow and Harry Hohandle? They say, "Oh, sure, that this is all made up." Well, I wasn't sure, so I went to New York. There's a record of him being arrested. And there's a record of the bail. There's a record of all this in the court record because he was held at Rikers Island in jail. So there is a court record of this. But to some people, that don't mean anything. But this really did happen.
Oh no, I believe you.
I believe it. There's a lot of
that you were talking about time travel using your mind and stuff. Did you know that the CIA has a project? It's called Project Gateway that they use to time travel. Now, I don't mean to get ahead of you or anything, but here's the documents if Nino posted up here. And just what you were describing earlier, I looked it up, and this is a real thing. Project Gateway. It's tasked. It shows you how to do it through your mind. A bunch of stuff here. It's got it's like you're hypnotizing yourself. Talks about your brain and how it works to do all of this. How to view and everything. So I don't know if you've seen that, but it was exactly what you were describing here a little bit earlier.
Yeah, what the CIA doing now, they're creating portals. And from one mine to another one, anywhere in the world. Right now, there is a lady over in the Czech Republic that is having a contact with someone that she goes to a bar once in a while and money is falling out of the ceiling. Small toys, goofy things, it's just falling out of the ceiling onto the table where they're sitting. And then there's a voice that comes on the speaker in the restaurant and talk to them. The problem is that the radio is turned off.
Gotta love that.
The voice still talks to them.
Wow.
Her name is Ilona Podraska. And I did a show on the Broadcast Team Alpha with a gentleman that is very close to them over there. And I get emails from her every day when she tells me what's happening. So these things, they happen. And in 2003, the BBC television came over to the United States to do a TV documentary on time travel and if it is possible. Michio Kaku was invited to talk on it, and another theoretical physicist named Green was there, and myself. We went down to New Orleans and we did, I demonstrated the device, and there was very interesting talk on there. I talked a little bit about what I saw at the time that could happen. Now, after saying that, I also need to explain another thing. Some of the things that I've seen in the future did not happen. A lot of it has happened and probably will happen. And that is why I'm not afraid of the future at all. But um, this video was shown to 1 billion people around the world because of the, BBC television goes into every English-speaking country. Now, what we found is that once we start thinking about something and visualize something in our mind, we create it. So that if we think of something in the future that we expect to be in our timeline, that's the timeline we get drawn up to that incident that we may be thinking about. Back in 2003, my mind was not in a spiritual arena. It was totally embedded, buried in the government cover-up and the government corruption. That's where my mind was. And that's why I saw total collapse of the economic system, where the military had to come in and create order. That is one of the things I saw. Luckily, that did not happen. The thing about when you go into the future like this, there is no timestamp on it, unless you sitting at the computer and see it like I did with the two pictures. But when you see something, there's no timestamp. So it could be next week, or it could be 4 years from then when it show up.
Yeah, we haven't quite hit that economic thing yet, but it seems like it's coming around the corner here. So, yeah.
You know who we were talking just before you came on a little bit about, and not in my research, I was trying to figure out about the time travel thing. And it's like you said, you could try time travel with your mind, out of body experience. One lady who actually did a lot of that and had 80% success rate on the time travel was that Vagabanga guy or gal from where was it? Bulgaria. Do you remember her? Would she have been time traveling at that point? Do you think?
Say that last part again.
Do you think that she was time traveling because she could see, according to her words, she could see the future, and she told everybody it was like watching a film or watching, a film in front of her eyes, but she was blind. She was totally blind from the age of 23.
I think that was a Romanian, wasn't it?
No, Bulgarian. Nina, if you want to post that
Bulgarian,
for a second,
yeah, that's right.
We can see what she looked like. Yeah, she couldn't
blind.
see. Yeah, she was completely blind. But her words were like, "Hey, this is going to happen." Blah blah blah. But she said she could see it like she was really there. Yeah. And what's
the difference between being a psychic, remote viewing, and time travel now? Then it sounds very similar. And actually, somebody had a question in here about that because they've been. Let's see if I can find that.
The effects could come out the same. A good psychic can also have visions and visual images of the future and the past, and that is. The effect may be similar to what a time travel trip would be.
So I've had a lot of reoccurring dreams, and then it comes to pass. So, and this is how I've come to my own conclusions about there is no time. There's no way that I would be able to dream about something in the future if it hasn't already happened. So like time is on like a loop, and you can go back, you can go forward, and I guess we're able to access it during our dream time, but yeah. So
yeah, the thing about that is that once you think of something and visualize with emotion and gratitude and all the good stuff, that is the spiritual language, you place it into the unified field. It's sitting there. That's the theory of inflation, referred to in quantum mechanics. And when you place it there, it's sitting there forever. You or someone else can attach that thing and bring it into your life, either as a vision, as a dream, or in the reality. That's what we do in the mastermind session we do on Sundays, and we do incredible things there. We create things out of seemingly nothing sometimes. Like
Mm-hmm.
like one lady on her deathbed in the hospital, and we wrapped our mastermind around her together. We saw her walking out of the hospital by herself, and at the end of the session, I flippantly said, yeah, she'll be home tomorrow. I didn't mean, I didn't think it. I just said it. But the thing about it is that for someone to walk out the door of the hospital cannot happen. They won't let you. They put you in a wheelchair here and they roll you out, and then you can walk. But what happened is that the next day in the afternoon, her husband called me and he said, my wife is home.
Wow.
And he said that she checked out, walked out of the hospital, and she's home. The doctor said that you recovered so fast that we couldn't see any reason to keep you any longer. And we have many instances like that.
Nice.
So the mind creates, it places us in there. So when you had dreams of things that hasn't happened yet, it is there. If you keep thinking about it, you could bring it home, so it might happen.
Well, the weird thing is that, like, for instance, I was dreaming about being in Norway, doing things in Norway, and I hadn't been home for about 13 years, and I had no plans at all, because I was just barely working. I had no money to travel in Norway. And so, but I keep having these reoccurring dreams about, doing this, that, and the other thing over there, and I just couldn't figure it out. Then all of a sudden, sure enough, something happened where I was able to go there. But so I wasn't like I was thinking about going there or had any plans of going there at all. But these reoccurring dreams would be happening in the months prior too. So very interesting. And I've had that with a lot of different things, like being at a certain place where I was like, I'm not even welcome there right now. There's no way I'll ever be in that house again, kind of thing. Sure enough, recurring dreams. Next thing you know, events happen, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, I am in that house all the time now. You know what I mean? So it's really weird, how that works.
Yeah.
So,
well, it could be just an imaginary dream also of something that subconsciously you would have liked to do, but it never made it up to conscious understanding of what maybe your subconscious thought that would be nice. You create on many levels of consciousness.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
Yeah,
create
that's
mentally, and you create subconsciously too.
Yeah. Now I know that you can see into the future. I mean, we can prove with remote viewing, and like you said, you can project yourself. You have dreams and things like that. But what about transferring your whole body to the future or the past? As you know, you probably looked on YouTube, and man returns from 2032, with news of the world, or 2066, or I visited, 3,000 years into the future, or something like that. But better yet, I have a good proof of one, and I want you to tell me what your thoughts on that are. And this is one of the famous guys that most everybody knows, and his name is Saint Germain. Now, Saint Germain was recorded, you know the story of Saint Germain, so I ain't going to go through all of that. But he was actually quoted predicting the future, like he'd already been there. Yep. Could he have been a time traveler, went back in time to experience all these things? And if he went back in time, everybody said he never aged. Do you think if you went back in time that your aging would stop until you caught up with your own time? That's my big question.
Well, yeah, I did a video on that on Broadcasting Alpha. You can go into the stream and you'll find it about Saint Germain. He had another way to stay alive, basically forever, and he did that by I guess we are calling it, what I'm calling it is the white powdered gold.
Mm-hmm.
And when he ate that, he used also something else because he broke up. Um, let's see, if you take mercury, mercury has gold in the middle. And then molecules, one molecule of mercury has gold inside of it, Au. And if you are able to separate those two, you can take the gold and do something good with it and discard the mercury. Mercury is a poison to us, but he ate that gold. And there's a lot of stories about the old pharaohs. They never died because they ate the gold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is records of him being born back in 1620 something.
Yeah.
There's a record of him being alive for 260 years
Yes.
because he
There,
was in different places and it was him and he looked the same.
yes. He was even in a picture with what is that Blavatsky lady in India. When she went to India, Blavatsky had pictures of him
Yeah,
with her, and he was still a young guy. But my thought is if he talked about being in the Roman times, and
yeah.
being back then, he kept reinventing himself. Otherwise, people would figure him out. But there's even sayings that he was at the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence, that he was there for that. But the thing is that he was never aging, and yes, he might have been taking this up. But then, how did he know the future? You think he could see into the future, or was he from the future and went back into the past with all this information?
He could maybe both, but I kind of still think it's more possible that he actually was taught by someone
Mm.
to do time travel.
Okay.
Back then, there were some alchemists that really knew how to do things.
Mm.
And they could have taught him how to do that way back in the 15th, 16th century, or much earlier, back in the Roman times. And then he traveled back and forth, and he liked it during maybe the 16, 1700s, so he stayed around for a while there. And he was traveling with royalty. He was in Russia, he was in France and Germany and England, and there's record of him being everywhere. In
Yep.
fact, there is a story, I have to call it a story, of when the founding fathers of the United States, when they were sitting in the room, they had brainstormed what was to be the Declaration of Independence. There was kind of a big room with a balcony in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were just about to say, oh, screw it, we don't really want to do this because it's too much of a risk, then this person came out of the shadows, stood at the railing of the balcony, and he said, this is written up it is in the records of the meeting at those when they were signing the Declaration of Independence. The person on the balcony, he said them, what you are about to do, you must do unanimously, otherwise you will fail. And then he talked a little bit about what's the difference between slavery, what's the difference between freedom, and what's the difference between liberty. When you understand the difference, you all must look within yourself and find out which one of them do you want to live under the rest of your life. Because this life only lasts for a short time. There are lives after this one for the rest of this nation that you owe it to create. I'm paraphrasing here, but there was something to that. And then he walked back into the shadows, and there were a couple of people that ran up the stairs upstairs, and they were looking around in the rooms, and he was nowhere to be found.
Mm.
There is people that think, and there are channelers that has come forward and said that was Saint Germain.
Time traveler.
Yeah.
Well, if they're ascended masters, I'm sure they probably mastered that technique, time traveling.
Yeah.
Now some people think that Trump is a time traveler. I've seen some quite interesting evidence of it, but yeah, I don't know.
Are you thinking about the book, 100-year-old book?
There's the books, and then there's the Barron book, and then there's the Trump book, and then there's these statues on these churches, and it looks just like him, and then Barron as well. Like and it's called Trump Avenue, and it's just like I don't know. I just seen a lot of weird stuff that and just the whole Simpsons thing. There's just no way that the Simpsons will be able to predict down to the piece of paper falling. I mean, it's just so.
Yeah. The big question about this book that was written 100 years ago talk about Trump. How did the author know Trump's son will be named Barron?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of kind of weird coincidences here that it just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, if you were time traveler, you would probably, learn how to get a lot of money, like that guy on the stock market. And those probably would be the people that would be coming back and have the money. And, well, so, I mean, I don't know how many other people have a gold toilet and whatnot that Mr. Trump has. So, I don't know.
Very interesting.
I think we are really messing with the head of Joe Blow and Harry Hohandle tonight.
Oh, I think we are. Yeah, I know.
Definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. But, time travel, it kind of insinuates that there is only one timeline. In order to be accurate about things in the future, you got to be in the same timeline.
That's true.
And that's what happened to me when we went to New Orleans and I did that thing for BBC television. Since that time, I changed my focus into more spiritual and mind-directed. I understand that we live in a mind-created universe. Quantum mechanics tell us so. So now I am able to design my future the way I want it to be. Back then, I expected the government to collapse, and I expected the military because it was so corrupt all over the place. That's where my mind was. And that's what would have happened in my timeline had I stayed with that mindset, most likely.
Yeah, I believe that every decision that we make, choices, because we have free will, we can do this or we can do that. There'll be a timeline for this and a timeline for that, depending on what we choose. So I think we slid into a lot of different timelines all the freaking time.
Yeah.
So
another argument for the fact that time travel cannot happen is the grandfather paradox. If you today went back before, let's say, back to maybe when your grandfather was 10 years old, and you accidentally killed him.
Right.
Now that would have happened before he had his before he had his fun with grandma.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you would kill off
So
2
there's
generations.
no chance of your parents being born. And if they were not born, you wouldn't be here to go back in time to kill your grandfather.
I have to argue with that. You're not gonna like it. No, I have to argue with that. So you're right. If you were in the same timeline, but as you know, there's multiple timelines. The problem
Yep.
is if you go back to kill, say kill your grandfather, you would go back. You may go back to the wrong timeline, kill the grandfather. It wouldn't affect you because your original timeline is still set in stone. You went to a version of your timeline.
Yeah. There's two explanations to that one. You nailed one of them. The other one is that you went back, killed your grandfather, and at that moment, that timeline ceased to go forward with you in it. You created a new one
Yes.
where you would exist.
Yes. Well, when you returned, if you went on the same timeline and you returned to the same timeline,
Yeah.
everything you know would be different. Your parents wouldn't be there. You would be an obscurity or an oddity then at that point. Correct?
Yeah. Yep. Boy, this gets convoluted, but
It
if you
does.
look,
It kind of
look
reminds me
behind,
of the whole Marty McFly. Remember the Back to the Future type of thing, right? And he goes back and his parents and all this. And
Yep.
yeah, it's
yeah,
Well,
do you remember when he was standing there with a picture of his parents and the picture started fading out?
right. Because they were, yeah.
Everything is changing. Yeah,
History books,
that
everything.
timeline anyway. That because
Now
when
that's
he
a whole different spin on the Mandela.
Yeah.
Oh boy, right? I mean, could that be part of the whole Mandela? I mean, if a lot of people are now able to do this, not everybody has good intentions. You know, the wrong people have this technology and are going back doing things. We're looking at it as Mandela effects, or you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's Nina, you are so right. But here's the thing: if I was in, I'm just gonna say, okay, if I was in the future and I wanted to go back and see how it affected the timeline, I would go back as a test to change one little thing, like like Berenstein Bears, or maybe change the Lucy thing.
Yeah.
Lucy, you remember that one? Change one little thing and then go back to see how that affected your timeline, or if it affected, or did you land back in the same timeline?
Yeah.
That would be a test.
That's the tricky part. If you go back and change something major, you could mess up your whole timeline and you end up in a different one where things are different. Now, there are two ways to do this. One of them is do like I did and read my book, and I'll explain how you can do it. And the other one is talk to Nori Love, my co-host on Broadcast Team Alpha. She is a hypnotherapist. I've been a hypnotist for well over 50 years too, but I'm not a therapist. And I'm a little more rough than she is. I'm trained to break down barriers to get way down into deep theta. Now, she takes people, put them under hypnosis, and take them forward in time to meet themselves, have a discussion. Maybe you're trying to do something right now you're not quite sure on how to accomplish. Go forward a year and ask yourself, what would I do that could make it successful? You may find out by talking to yourself that forget it. Do something different. Or you can find out, do this. That will work for you. You come back with that advice and you go do it. And then you continue in your timeline and eventually you catch up with yourself a year from now. And then you say, Thank you, self. That was good advice.
Hmm.
She's the only
Um,
one that I know that I was actually doing this. So that's what's unique.
Hmm.
you,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think
timelines and time travel has been talked about for 1,000 years. Aristotle, he was the first to picture a timeline. How time is relevant, and then Newton, which is more closer to our time, he also perfected the time. Flows like a river. In a linear fashion. But then when Albert Einstein came along, now he predicted and he kind of gave everybody the idea of time travel because he says you could take time and fold it over and then jump
Yep.
across that little area like a piece of paper. Here's your timeline, and he said you could bend time, and
Yep.
now you can
a
time
loop.
travel. A
Yeah, it's a
loop.
loop.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
What? Yeah. What do you think on those theories?
That's what extraterrestrials do. And of course, we also, well, the dark side of the federal government is doing it too because the extraterrestrial craft have crashed and they back engineered it and found out this is one of the things that is possible to do. And the Ben Rich, he was the head of the Skunk Works, and he said that uh, Lockheed Skunk Works, that's where they create all the stuff that we're not supposed to know about. He said, if you have seen it on TV, if you have seen it on Star Trek, we already know how to do it. That he said in 1978 when he retired.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what they know how to do now?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I can
I, I
imagine.
I always tell my buddy, if you think of it, they've already thought of it.
It's already been
Yeah.
done. And I
Because
think a
you.
lot of this is going to be coming out. So that's the interesting thing about the future coming up here is that a lot of these technologies that have been withheld are going to be coming to be available here pretty soon. So
Yep.
that's something to look forward to. But I am interested in your device there. Augie, do you want to show us what you got or
Yeah,
explain what
I
exactly
can
you got going there?
let me get some video of it here.
Now, would you be able to do this live? Like, would you be able to time travel right live on the show right now?
Well, the thing is that there's too much action going on here.
Okay.
It's
Can't talk.
difficult to get your brainwave pattern into deep theta to do this. But I would, I can show it to you and show you how it works.
Now, another question
There,
before you do. Are you selling these devices? Do you
no,
make them?
no,
You sell them?
no.
No? Okay.
I don't
Because some
know.
people don't make one. You know.
Let me show here. This is the computer
It's
part
like
of
a
it.
radionics box.
It is.
Oh, well,
It
shit. Yeah,
even
this is
has a
what people are
well.
doing nowadays. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It can be used to heal people at a distance.
Yes. You can do a lot of
And
magic with that, actually. Good
yeah,
and bad, of
let me
course.
show if I can. Okay, get this
Yeah.
close. There's an on and off switch here,
Yeah.
and then you have two dials. And the way you tune it to what you are wanting to do is you turn the dials until your finger sticks on
Sure.
this stick plate. Oh, I gotta
Yeah.
turn this around.
A lot of my
Here,
audience will know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure there's several people here that has got a computer, a radionic computer.
Radionics
Now,
box. Yeah, they're selling these now.
yeah.
Like people are using them for all kinds of things.
So
Yeah.
this, when you turn it on, then you can tune it. You turn the knob a little bit, test the stick plate. If
Mm-hmm.
nothing, if your finger don't stick, keep turning it.
Yeah.
Wait for the stick. Keep turning it until your finger sticks. That's the way you want to keep the knob. Then you do the other one. You fine tune that too, so the two knobs
Mm-hmm.
are synced together. And now you also have a time coil. This one you put around your head, right at the third eye. So it encompasses all the way around your head, right at the level of there are several centers in the brain that is affected by, because this one has a very strong magnetic field. And then you have this electromagnet. It looks like this. There's a handle on it, and then you have the electromagnet. You put that against your solar plexus. And of course, it should be plugged in the wall. So now you go into meditation, holding the magnet against your solar plexus, and that goes through the radionic box and is sent to your time coil around your head. And concentrate on what you want to do, so you have a clear picture of what you want to accomplish. And then let the mind go and lower the brainwave pattern into the bottom of the alpha, at least to the bottom of the alpha. Try to get it down into deep theta. If you do, you're going to have some incredible experiences. So this is what this little device, the guy that made it, he was from Nebraska, and it's Stephen Gibbs. He died about 2 years ago now, so they don't make any more of these anymore. Now, he has a time chip in it. That he called it a time chip, that he had a theoretical physicist helping to, should I say, well, probably he created some of the information on the time chip, but there is wires that is, he said, there's wires that is twisted in a certain way that goes into the knobs and the two tuning switches also on here. So he didn't want to talk much about what it was, how it was put together, because he was totally paranoid of somebody's going to steal it from him and start making them. He wanted to be the only one. And in fact, he said that on Coast to Coast one time. He was on Coast to Coast probably about 10 times. I was on Coast to Coast once with him. And he also put together this little manual that show you how to, show you what it works like. And oh God, what's happening here? There you go. There's a diagram of,
You got to hold it back by your chest. There you
there's
go.
a diagram, and there is there's some pictures in here about how to do this. Let me see. There you go. So, but it's very skimpy. He didn't explain a lot about what's in it. And he also, inventors, they will know what this means. He black boxed it. So if you try to break into it, you will break the circuitry and you'll never make it work again.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's kind of a bum deal, but I know that these things, I seen one for sale actually on an auction site. I forget which one it was. I think he charged $1,200 for it or something like that. But you can probably find them somewhere.
Well, I know people who sell the radionics boxes. They use them from other things, but I'm wondering now if you can take one of their boxes and modify it to what you got there. Is the input and output, right? That's the difference between the coil and whatever else.
They may, they may be able to modify something that, without knowing the circuitry, that's going to be pretty hard to do, because you also need a magnet is tuned This magnet is tuned to the time chip. It got a certain amount of Gaus going out that is tuned to the time chip.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of thought that went into this, because he
Mm-hmm.
said that he had an interdimensional entity visit with him that gave him the design and told him how to put it together,
Mm-hmm.
so that he could travel into the future and look at something that he told him to go to look at.
Nice. Very
Wow.
interesting. There you go.
And he took the secret with him.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's too
Yeah,
bad.
I
Yeah,
don't,
that's
you
too
know,
bad. Now that manual that you have, somebody was saying, I want that manual. Are you able to reproduce that manual and share that with us?
yeah, that can be photocopied and
If you have a
well,
PDF or something, I would love to have that and send it around and see
I
if I can get some of these boys to make up a special device. Mind you, I'm probably giving away secrets then, eh? I should
Trade
make it myself,
secrets.
but I'm not mechanically inclined.
But
So,
well, the thing is somebody out there will figure it out once they see that stuff, and they'll make their own. I mean, I was
yeah,
trying to make something like
fairly
that once
easy,
before,
right?
and I bought a bunch of magnets.
if you're searching for this, go ahead and use this term, the hyperdimensional resonator.
Hyperdimensional resonator.
Well, you guys remember that then,
Let
because
me
I
see
don't
if
have
I
any
can get
links
this
to it,
close
okay?
enough so you can see it. Yeah, the
It's actually
hyperdimensional.
backwards for us, but it's hyperdimensional. What was this? Yeah, I've already forgotten.
Yeah,
Hyperdimensional
resonator.
resonator.
Mhm.
Oh, there he is. They come up.
This is the one I demonstrated for BBC television when they did the TV documentary.
Oh yeah, here it comes up. A device to help you orb more than physical time travel. There's a Facebook creator device. Yeah, okay. Yeah, here it is.
Cool.
Hyperdimensional resonator defined. Huh. Okay. I clicked that. That's good information. I just love it. Gives me a whole new avenue I'm going to go down. I was going to make me one of those things almost. I had bought, I still got them. One of these days, I'm going to put them together, but I bought a bunch of electromagnets. They're about yay big. And then I got a pulse controller, and I was going to make them into a helmet. And and put it on your head, and then you could control the pulses with the sin wave, and then I got one of those sin wave boxes, that show the doohickey, so I could keep track of it to help my brain. See what would happen.
There's another concept that I want to mention while we're talking about this, and that is time slippage. That's when you are going around just doing your thing and suddenly find yourself in a place that looks slightly different. I'll give you an example of one that happened to me, and that is, I came home from the grocery store. I had my handfuls on bags, and I put them on the island in the kitchen, and I start putting stuff away. I put the car keys next to the bags, put all the bags away, and I looked on the island, and the car keys are gone. I said, oh gosh, they went in the fridge. So I looked around the fridge, they weren't there. So looked everywhere and couldn't find it. A day or so later, we found them in the freezer. The thing is that I had put nothing in the freezer. I had never opened the door even, but it was in the freezer.
Interesting.
How could that happen? Without that had to happen in a parallel timeline where I put something in the freezer.
Yep.
I've heard of these things happening where people find something, you put it somewhere, you swear to God, and then you find it somewhere else.
Yeah, I know.
Weird, and so a lot of people, depending on which community you're in, We either think it's like spirits doing it, a ghost doing it.
Did you ever hear of those time slips where people are, they're out doing whatever in town, and the next thing you know, they look up and all the scenery's changed into a different timeline, and they don't know where they're at. Maybe they travel back in the time. There was a famous one where this airplane pilot, he was flying over the airfield and noticed all the planes on the ground. And during World War II, I think it was, and they weren't painted the right color. And he realized once he swooped down there closer that these were biplanes from World War I and not World War II. But then the clouds came and he kept going, and that airfield was supposed to be abandoned. And when he landed, they was like, "There's nothing. There's no airfield there anymore." And that was
that was over in England.
Yes,
I know that story. And in fact, there was an officer in the Air Force over there, and he flew over that. He flew over and he saw these biplanes on the ground, and the people that was around there, they had a uniform on that had the wrong color. They had blue uniforms where he had, but they had brown uniforms on the ground. And they quit doing that several years before, but he ended up in a previous time where those things existed. There's a record of this actually in the military that's been recorded over in England.
These things seem to happen. What about like when people, you've heard about these, and I don't know if I want to go there, but I am, is the fact that these people that get on an airplane, they fly over maybe the Bermuda Triangle area, and then they lose an hour, they leave, and it takes an hour to fly. You were a pilot, you know what it is then. They leave at one time and it's supposed to take an hour to get there, and they get there in 10 minutes and they wonder what happened. Talk about that for a minute. I mean, being a pilot and all, you should know you can only go so fast, right?
Before you do though, I just want to ask, like, time slippage and glitches in the matrix, what's the difference?
I think the matrix covers it all. And there we go again. See that since we are living in a mind-created universe, our mind is what creates the universe around us. But it is done on a basic floor of understanding laid down by the universe. So that's why we can look around and every one of us seems like, well, trees are usually green. That's a common understanding. And we have the ground, we have gravity. All of us agree on that because we have accepted it as true. Everybody have. And now we can create different things. Let me give you an example. I've talked about this on shows every so often, and that is that I'm a hypnotist. I can put you in a soft chair and talk to you for about 10 minutes, and I tell you that when I snap my finger and you come out, you will see an elephant standing next to you in the room. And I don't care if you're on the 34th floor of an apartment building and there's no chance of the elephant getting up there, but you will see the elephant. You reach out and touch the snout on him. You can feel the rough skin. You can smell him. You hear him breathing, but there's a problem. I can't see the elephant because there's no elephant there. What happened to your real world? The real world went away. I didn't do it. You created the elephant. I just convinced you that it's possible. That is an evidence of that our mind create our reality around us.
And that is so true, because, even the saying of, hey, we're all gods, we're all creators, it goes with that. And also, yeah, what you think about, if you're dwelling in the negative, that's probably what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And this is why we, especially spiritual channels or whatever, will, bombarding you with, you got to think positive, because otherwise, the negative, because you are creating it. You are in charge of what is going to be happening ultimately. You might say, "Oh, why is everything bad happening to me?" Well, that's because you're allowing yourself to think that that's what's going to happen, or that's what you deserve, or whatever that you've created in your mind now. And it is a hard concept to for people to understand, right? Because nobody wants to create something bad for themselves. So
and well, quantum mechanics is actually getting to the point where it can explain everything around us, even if it doesn't make sense. There was, I wrote myself a little note here that's the Professor John Wheeler. He said, we cannot have a universe without observers like us. The very building block of the universe are the act of observation. So in other words, if we're not seeing it, if we cannot interact with it, can't touch it, feel it, it doesn't even exist yet until we can see it or touch it or interact with it. Then the unified field, which it already exists in, it collapses and it turns into physical reality.
So it is kind of like a video game. So we are essentially inside a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
we can only see this level where we're at, with the guy with the thing, right? And nothing else exists until you enter there. You know what I mean? Like, so like the only thing that exists right now is this room. Everything outside this room does not exist until I step out of this room and now make it into existence. Just, you know what I mean? Like, it is kind of mind blowing, honestly.
And it is really, it's proven also that we live in a holographic projection, because there's a theoretical physicist named James Gates. He says that if we look deep in the equations explaining fundamental particles that explains the fabric of space, we find computer language. We didn't put it there, it just shows up. Now, if there's computer language, you got to have a computer somewhere.
So we're in the computer.
Yeah. And now if there's a computer, I'm also wondering who's sitting at the computer.
There's got to be an operator. Or it's probably a 10-year-old kid playing a game right now, and that's all it is. This is all it is.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that movie Tron. You were in the computer, but you could never find the computer because you were actually in it. So you didn't know who was running the game.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the Truman Show. They can look in, but you can't look out. You don't see it because you're in it.
I think there's two schools of thought on that. I really want to talk to that kid that's sitting at the computer.
Me too.
And let me point to him. He's right there. It's you.
There you go. It's us.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So start thinking the way that you want it to happen, and not thinking about what you don't want. And that's what it's one of those things I keep saying all the time on my shows, because we do create our own reality. And this is a good sort of evidence of it, more scientific evidence of it. It's not just, mystic, BS essentially, right? It's an actual scientific thing. So, and I'm glad to see that you even have the radionics boxes in there as well. That's, That's very interesting
Now,
because that's a new thing that's come up in the spiritual community now with manifesting. They're using it to manifest. I mean, you can use it for good or bad, like I said, with like with
yeah,
everything. But yeah, you can manifest. You can bring on healings. You can, there's a lot of things that you can do with these machines. That's kind of taken over from the old-fashioned witchcraft, essentially, because that's
yeah,
what all
and
about.
those
So
radionic computers can do some incredible things. I
yeah,
had a Mark 12 that I got from somebody over in England, and we did some really neat things with that. We one of the things we did, we took distilled water, and they had two wells on it. Put distilled water in one,
hmm
and then we put a vitamin C pill in the other one. And then we ran the computer for I don't know how long, maybe a day or so. And then we took the water, and I have a friend that works at the University of Nebraska. We took it down there and says, "What is this water? Can you analyze it?" At first, he didn't want to do it. That was just, not important. But we talked him into doing it on his free time. And he came back and says, "Yeah, you get vitamin C water." So we transferred the energy from the vitamin C pill
hmm
into the distilled water, so it became vitamin C dissolution.
yeah. This is
Hmm.
awesome. This is like scientific evidence of the
Yeah,
stuff that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can take a picture of, say, the sun, and you want to project the energy of the sun into you, to give you energy or whatever. And, we don't have any scientific proof of, but we sure feel better in a few hours, or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, this is cool.
there's also another really, really goofy story that come out of China. There was some scientific expedition from they were both the Chinese and some from England. They were there to bring out there was a grave that was put in. Somebody was put into a sarcophagus, a stone lid, stone box. About I think it was 800 years ago, and when the cameras was on it all the time, there was no chance of doing any goofy stuff there. So they got the lid off, and there was the guy laying in there. So they started unwrapping, and then they found that that guy, which he was a high-ranking Chinese official, a royalty. Uh, he had Nike's tennis shoes on,
Huh. Wow.
and in another place, also in China, they found in a grave where somebody was buried. They found a Swiss watch.
Yep.
That,
Yep. I
that
remember
must
this.
have been buried for 400 years.
I have
Yeah.
seen pictures of like old pictures where all of a sudden there's a person there with modern haircut and what looks like a cell phone and stuff like that.
Yep,
Talking
yep,
about time travel, right? There has been photographs done where you're looking at like it just looks
Well,
weird. The fashion,
well,
the haircut.
well,
Yeah.
if the Swiss watch was true, that means because Switzerland didn't become Switzerland until like the 1800s,
yeah,
correct?
yeah. That's
So
correct.
that
And
means somebody had to come and get the watch from the 1800s, go back the 400 years to put it in the thing so we could find it now,
yeah,
meaning that watch is even older than the 400 years. I mean, it's way older.
Well, you
yeah,
look at the Anunnaki statues; they're all wearing watches,
yeah.
handbags.
They do. But if you look at that
Uh,
watch, it has 18 hours on it, not
that's
12.
interesting.
If yeah,
Interesting.
I counted them all the way around, and you can see there was 18 hours in it. But
It doesn't even
that
look
guy,
like numbers, though. It just looks like a pattern of some sort. It doesn't look like
yeah,
our traditional watch, but yeah, I didn't count the things, but yeah, interesting that they're wearing something like that.
uh-huh.
I mean, even
And that,
nowadays, the watch is considered old fashioned. I mean, nobody wears
yeah,
watches anymore now.
Now
So
the
it's just not listening.
country, the
Yeah, I
country of
got a
Switzerland.
picture of it if you want to post it. You know. I got
Okay.
a picture of it.
Yeah.
Here's that watch. I'm the go-getter here. I'm trying to find this stuff you're talking
Oh,
about.
this is kind of small. We can't see it. We need one photo.
Yeah, that's
of
it. Upper right-hand corner.
that right
There it
there.
is. Yep, that's the one.
Can you post just that, Robert, or just click on that? See if we can get a closer up on that. That one's got the hands and the numbers and everything.
Let's see if I can get.
That's.
Yeah, it's about. I can't enlarge it. That's about as good as I'm going to get it.
Yeah. My grandma's watch.
But yeah, it's really small. If you look at the picture of this one,
like that.
It's a really small. You see his finger. It's like for your finger or something.
Yeah, that's my grandma's watch. She used to wear one, and it had the elastic sort of band on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have it actually.
You know, so like I said, it's just I just want to pull that up so you guys could look at it. That we're not making this stuff up, people. This stuff is
that's right.
Kind of,
and back in those days, with her watch, it's you wind up. You just wind it up. You know, remember that? Back, wind up your watch. Yeah.
Wind up watches. Yeah. Yeah, it's just really interesting. I don't know. You know, it makes you wonder how those things get to those places. You know, because there's no answers for it. There's not a sign on there that says, "Hey, I got this watch from a time traveler." Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I just got to bring this up. I know it's probably not really relevant, to be honest with you, but you got to watch, the shows that come on because they're going to tell you a lot of truth in there. And I just watched a show that was about a sinkhole. And I was in LA sinkhole because it was, I can't remember the name of it now. But anyway, so all these people fell through the sinkhole. They fell through to, turns out to be 10,000 BC. So this sinkhole turns out to be some kind of time travel through the earth though, or something. So that again, like I found it, I know this is, science fiction kind of, thing, but I found it very interesting. Under the ground, we're talking about these drones nowadays coming from the ocean. We've touched on this before about there's so much more going on in this ocean than we figure out. And then I wouldn't be surprised with sinkholes going right through the earth into another time. Can you imagine showing up? It's year 10,000 BC, and we got not quite dinosaurs, but there was some big ass, animals that we have to be worried about, and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, that made me think holy, there's more to this than we realize, I think, with this whole time travel and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sinkholes actually has been a thing as well in the last, decades here.
There will be more of them.
Okay, so what is your theory on the sinkholes? So what do you know about those?
I don't know. That could be many different reasons. There is a lot of times there is also water running under the surface, and if it erodes the dirt around it, things can fold in. But then you have these perfectly circular sinkholes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yes.
In Russia.
Okay.
You see, those over in Russia.
Movie was about. Yeah.
There is they've come up with no explanation on these holes that suddenly just all the dirt is thrown up and laying around there. But there's a hole that goes down maybe 40, 50 to 100 feet.
Yeah.
So
there's something is, if this is just a matrix of some sort, whatever, because some people say that there is no, there's no universe, essentially. It's just inside of, in the ocean, and maybe it's under the ground. There's a lot more going on here than I think that we realize. And
that's and then again, I think we're also messing with the flat earthers tonight from the backside of what they're looking at, because how can all this universe exist if they were right?
Right. Yeah, they don't believe. Yeah, so that I think there must be a middle ground between the round and the flat. I think there's something in between there. I think is where the truth really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. It is kind of funny that all the other planets are
yeah.
round, but we're special, So we're
Yeah.
Right,
flat.
yeah. No, that doesn't go. Yeah, that looks funny, right? Because you see the memes all of a sudden you have this flat thing. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it is. But there's definitely more to this, and
I
yeah,
think
I don't know. I don't
I
have
do
all the
think there's something with escaping Earth's magnetic field, or actually traveling to the stars. I think there's a little more to it than just getting and going, because it'd be too easy then. It seems like they can't go. Why can't they go back to the moon? Is they trying to hide something, or they just
Didn't you
can't get
hear,
there?
Robert, that they had it all on VHS tapes and then they recorded Barney over it, So that's what
Yeah,
happened, you know. That's what's
Sure they did.
really important
Sure,
document.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure
yeah,
they did.
Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
I can see it
That's
now.
the official,
I need
actually,
that
explanation
VHS tape
for it.
to do some recording at home.
I
Let me take
mean,
that home.
Yeah.
yeah. So they really do think we're stupid. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I guess up until recently here, I think, I can kind of
Yeah,
agree. But now with
but
the
you s-
internet, we're learning things, we're catching on, and yeah.
yeah, but they think we're stupid, but the thing is that many of us are.
Well, yeah, there's many
Mhm.
that still are who refuse. It's kind of like Bonnie saying she's a flat earther. I dove into that when there was the big hype in 2016. I looked into it. I mean, they have valid arguments for sure. And
Mhm.
I've kind of come to it. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's something in between. But a lot of people just cannot. They just cannot wrap their mind. They refuse
Yeah,
to even look into it, right? So, and that's most people because they're scared. They get scared, and that's ultimately
yeah,
what it's all
yeah.
about is fear,
Mhm.
So,
Pe-
and
people will people will defend their paradigm with
yeah,
vengeance because they don't want new things to come in that'll mess with it. They have it all figured out.
mhm,
They think that it may be something different, but that's uncomfortable, so let me stay with this one.
yes, and
Yeah.
whatever is
No,
socially acceptable, that's
yeah,
comfortable, and that's where religion has kind of fared for so long. But I think that gig
Yes.
is up as well now, and that people are starting to look. Wait a minute, So,
Just have faith and believe. That's all you need to
yeah,
know. Just have faith
yeah,
and
I
believe. Don't
know.
think. Don't think out of the box.
Don't
Have faith and believe.
question, and all of this. And it wasn't that long ago since that was the norm, where you don't question authority, you don't question your teacher or your politicians or these people, are gods as far as they're concerned, and you
yeah,
don't question any of that. And that's how we were for most of the time until now. We're starting to because we're learning more, and
Mhm.
getting more
yeah.
aware of what's going on and putting pieces together, which is great. With the
We
internet. I mean,
we gotta remember that nothing great happens unless you venture out to the fringes of fear.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. You have to
That's
take
where,
risks in order to make some discovery.
yeah,
yeah, that's
Mhm.
kind of like how I screwed up my whole YouTube and Facebook career because of stuff that I was posting. And you get in trouble,
oh
and
yeah,
and that's why people don't want to do it. They don't want to post. They don't want to teach. They don't want to talk about anything because might get in trouble. And so I mean,
yeah,
we do,
yeah,
but it's not a big deal. I mean, whatever. I'd rather lose all of that and wake people up and have people, you know what I mean, rather than just sitting there cowardly, being safe behind whatever, Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah. So
yeah,
I'm glad that,
absolutely.
there's people like you, Augie, that are,
Yeah.
investigating and posting and sharing and teaching. And so why don't you tell us about, where they can find you? We didn't really give you a good introduction here. You kind of got thrown in. I don't know
Yeah,
if the audience already know you. The old audience definitely will because they've seen you around on my old
yeah.
channel. But for the new people, why don't you tell them exactly who you are and what you're all
Well,
about, Augie?
first of all, I want to say if you want to learn a little more about the universe and how it works and how you can train your mind to do things that you now would think would be totally impossible, go ahead and get on Amazon, put my name in there. And this book about spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness. You'll find the book there. Everybody can afford it. Click on the picture and read all the subjects that it talks about. It will redefine your existence. You can start doing some of the stuff in there, and your world will change. So that's what I would say would be the first step, and then start looking at us on YouTube, and we're on 44 different platforms, so we're pretty much everywhere. But go ahead and go to also Broadcast Team Alpha. Go into the picture gallery and start looking at pictures. You'll find a lot of stuff there that hard to believe.
Mhm.
But otherwise, Nori Love and I were doing the Broadcast Team Alpha show on Thursday night at 7 o'clock East Coast time. So that's that's 5 o'clock. No, 4 o'clock in California. But
Yeah.
also, I do a show on Sunday nights. That is at the show is called the Paranormal World Show. And it isn't all paranormal. I talk about success principles and how the universe works too, which in some cases could be paranormal. But we have a lot of interesting stuff there. And go look at that also on Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube. And while you're there, might as well subscribe. It's free. So why not?
Yeah. And you got a lot of
And I
good
was,
guests on there too. I've
yeah,
watched your show many a time, and you'll have guests and you talk about very interesting stuff. You really get more in depth to these subjects that we're talking about right now.
yeah,
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 so go and check Aage out. He's on Facebook as well, of course.
yeah,
Let's see, I'll put his Facebook in here as well. All the
Yeah.
links I'm putting in the chat right now will be down in the description here, guys. Go and check him out, as well as Robert's links, of course. Subscribe to our channels and check out all our other websites. Follow us. I got a new Facebook. Make sure you follow me there so that I can go live there in the future. And yeah, you do have a lot of good shows there. I hope that your channels are growing, that it's reaching people. I know with the algorithms, it's a whole game that they got going. And if you don't play it just right, we just kind of get buried in all the other stuff out there, unfortunately. So yeah, you might have to go looking a little bit, people, okay, to find us, because most of us have been around for a while, and we're probably already buried in the, it's only the news. Like, you really got to play the game in order to get anywhere. So
yeah. And here's a tip for all of those that is watching TV and believing what the government is telling you. I've been to Russia. When I was in Moscow, that was a long time ago. I got in with a college crowd, and there was one kid that told me something. And he said, nothing has been confirmed to be true until the government has denied it.
right.
That's
That is really, it's got to be the number one lesson I think I've learned too, is whatever they tell you, just do the opposite, and you're probably more on the right path, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is about as defiant as you can get. But that's where it's at, So kudos for all of you who are defiant and who want to know more and are digging in and not just taking a, by their word, good for you guys. We're the ones that are waking up the masses, essentially, and so, yeah. But thank you so much for coming on, Aage. Or did you have something else you want to share with us?
No, I would just say to everybody out there, don't settle for what other people tell you. Because sooner or later, including, don't believe all I'm saying you, because sooner or later I'm going to believe something that is not so. And if I tell you, you may be led around the wrong path. Verify it for yourself by at least more than one source. Do the research.
Yeah, and you know what? I gotta say, like, when you go online nowadays, you're not gonna find all the stuff that we found 10, 15 years ago. You know, so we really were in a great timeline, if you will, back then, because we could research and find all kinds of things. I go back now to try and find the stuff that I found then, I can't find it. So I can see in my own timeline here that they have scrubbed the internet already. You're not going to find everything that we found back in the day. And so you really got to dig. Like, you almost got to go back to the library, start utilizing the libraries, finding the old books, having hard copies. That would also eliminate the whole Mandela thing as well. If you have the hard copies on your shelf, even your book, somebody might find that book in 20 years from now and it's completely different because they've changed it all. But if you have that hard copy sitting on your shelf, you can say, hey, no, I can prove it to you right here. This is what he wrote. So there's something to be said for having a little library of your own, like hard copies. So.
I want to say one last thing before we go, and that is that, remember, in a mind-created universe, it isn't all what you're thinking about. It also goes back to what you believe that you never think about. So be careful. Be very careful what you allow to dwell in your mind the most, because that is going to create your future. And when you know that, now you start thinking about, how can I create the future? You do that by start visualizing and imaging and thinking about and formulating the kind of future that you want. Place that future someplace in the future, like maybe a Christmas party, New Year's party, and visualize yourself standing around toasting the success of what you have wanting to be to create. Now, create the future in your mind first, and then go back and forth and visit it every day. Now you get drawn up that timeline to that thing that you have created in your mind and placed in the future. That timeline becomes solid, because it is. You lay down a tractor strings to it, little tiny white strings of light that you can't see. And those will draw you up to that future that you want to have. And in my book about spiritual science that I have on the shelf up there, I can't reach, I show you how to do this, and you can create amazing things for yourself. I have. And I tell you, everybody can do what I do. So yeah, there's the book. That's the one you look for. And when you look in that book, don't skip from one chapter to the 15th and then the 31st and so on. No, read the whole thing. And what I'm also telling people is that if you read the book 3 times, get a hold of me, because then you may be ready for stage 2. That's when you start creating out of seemingly nothing in your life. It's all created in the mind first.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing. It's one thing to just, read a book, skim over a book. But if you actually, do the things that he talks about in here and actually take the time, we spend hours and hours on watching Netflix and scrolling through Facebook. If you just, took an hour out of your day or something, do some meditation, do some of these exercises in here, you're going to start to, start doing the work, and rather than just listening to shows, you're actually doing the work. So,
I know.
Yeah.
I've read that book over and over and over, and it really has changed my life. I mean, I've manifested more things since reading that, and changed the way I think, because of that. I question more things and research more stuff because of that book. So there you go.
Good.
Thank you.
And since you said that, I gotta ask all the listeners, including you, one question. What would you start tomorrow morning if you knew you could not fail? Now, when you think about that, don't decide on the first thing that comes to mind. I don't care how much you want it, because I guarantee you, you don't know how to think big enough.
You're probably
And
right.
then
Absolutely.
when you give it at least 24 hours before you decide on something, because it's got to be big enough to make a difference, not just for you, but the world.
Yeah.
So I want to see your comments tomorrow. It's been 24 hours. You've been meditating on it. Tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
You
one.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Going on with what you just explained there, I heard something similar to that once before about why can't I win the $1 million jackpot and whatever, and you can't win because you don't know how to be a millionaire. If you're broke and poor, you can't manifest the thought of being so rich that it just can't come to you. You may want it, but you don't know how to have it. Because you can't manifest something you don't understand. And so you have to get into that mindset of understanding how to be rich and be that millionaire or billionaire or whatever it is in order to make it come to you. So at least that's the way I think of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of us have a poverty mindset. And so even
Yeah,
though we
we
get
do.
the millions, we end up losing it within a year, they say, because we don't know how to hold on to it because we don't have that mindset. And so it really is a mindset, that you have to consciously set that mind, if you're not born into it. Yeah.
You got to remember also that a millionaire still have many limitations in their mind, because a billionaire is a different breed of animal. I wrote another book. It's called Universal Success Principles and How Billionaires Think. You can become a millionaire doing like other people do with passive investments and so on, but you will never be a billionaire by thinking like millionaires do. Because the billionaires, they are the dreamers. They are the philanthropists. They give away more money than most people make in a year. I enjoyed doing that in the past. And I tell you, once you give, there is this universal law that says you will be having a return. If you give without expectations, you will have a return of at least tenfold.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And then, of course, I'm going to have to, piggyback.
I just said that the other night on the end of my show. I said, whatever, Christmas season's coming up, I says, you got your cup is full. You need to spill some out because the universe will fill it back up.
Yeah.
Is that not right?
Absolutely. That is so true. Yes.
See, the real principles, there is such a thing as a billionaires club. It's not the one you see on Facebook. They're just playing. The real billionaires club, that is when you have a real billionaire sit with you and tell you how they do it. You find that in the book about universal success principles. I'm not really advertising that book much because it's usually more for our mastermind group and the people that wants it. You have to contact me to get that one. Otherwise, you can get it on. It's on a catalog in Hawaii. But just contact me, and I can see to you that you can get it. If you're in business or want to be in business, that will change everything for you.
Right on.
Yeah.
So Go and check it out, everybody. All our links are down below. Go and check us out. And yeah, make sure you're subscribing, liking, and sharing this so the information can get out there. This is how it's done. YouTube is not going to do it for us, so we do rely on you to do it. And yeah, taking his class, buying his books, following our shows. It's all part of it, people. So yeah, thank you all for watching. And Robert, do you have any last words for yourselves there?
Well, I just feel so privileged to be on tonight and share your wisdom tonight, Aggie. And it's been a great show and lots going on. Thank you so much. Yeah, very interesting.
This has been fun. It's okay to talk about UFOs and pyramids on the moon and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, what does it do for you?
Mm-hmm.
That's why at the very tail end here, I threw in some success principles, and that's where it's at. Once you become successful here, you'll have the success all the way around you.
Yes. It all starts with the mindset.
But you need to know the principles. If you run your life by principles, all the details will fall into place. And in the book about spiritual science, you'll find a lot of those principles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
Very good. That is so awesome. Yeah. So go and get yourself a hard copy. Like I said, it's good to have books on the shelf, okay, just in case. Well, not just in case. They've already been scrubbing out the internet. And never mind if it does disappear, we don't know what's going to be happening in the future here. So have the hard copies. It's not that much. You'll thank us later for it.
Yeah.
However, there's other places. I do go on my Gilded. You can get the PDF up on there. We already got a room going for the spiritual science in there from before. And so we can continue the discussion over there, okay? And all the links are down in the description of the video here, okay, guys? Check out all the other, like Odyssey will have the old episodes that we did. The old Rumble that I have still will also have the old episodes. Thank God that we have those channels, that my other channel was hooked up to it, synced up to it, so that all of that stuff's not lost. So go and binge watch that stuff over there, guys. Get the book. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you follow me on the Facebook so that I can go live there soon. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Aage. And yeah, we'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, this was fun. And to everybody out there, I would say, in the words of Spock, live long and prosper.
For sure, for sure. All right. Thanks, Robert, for coming on. Thank you all for watching. Hit the like, and we'll see you in the next one, everybody. Bye.